I've been looking forward to this video for quite some time because honestly, this is one of the best cars I've driven. And I'm not just saying within EVs or pickup trucks, I'm talking vehicles in general. Before we get into the hows and the whys of this, you know the drill. Like, subscribe below. Let's get into this. This, of course, is the Rivian R1T pickup truck. It's all electric and probably one of the more distinctive vehicles on the road today. Now, the most identifiable trait for any Rivian is its front fascia, with these very distinct vertical ovoid headlights that sort of remind me of that big robot Baymax from Big Hero 6. It's got that, I don't know, welcoming charm without being ominous or rugged looking, but you combine it with these rounded edges and corners and it just kind of has a nice modern look to it. In terms of size, it sort of sits between the mid-size class and full-size pickup trucks, and it's about 7 inches longer than, let's say, a Honda Ridgeline. Down the side, there's not a whole lot that really stands out, but there are a lot of features to talk about, and we'll get to those over the course of this review. Around back, we have this distinctive single red tail light that really shows up at night. For 2026, the quad-motor R1T and its R1S SUV cousin both get all-new motors that are built in-house at Rivian. They're beefier, they have better cooling, and overall, they're just improved over the last year. The other change is all 2026 models get a NACS charge port. And because this is the fully loaded quad motor trim, we also get Gear Guard, which is Rivian's kind of quasi-orange Yeti mascot. The R1T is available with either 2, 3, or 4 motors. On the low end, the dual makes between 533 and 665 horsepower, with range estimates between 270 and 420 miles. The tri-motor increases output to 850 horsepower, and you should get 371 miles on a single charge. This top-dog quad-motor version with 1,025 horsepower and 1,195 pound-feet of torque ranges estimated between 325 and 374 miles, depending on wheels, tires, and options. It can tow between 7,700 and 11,000 pounds, but expect range to plummet. When you do need to charge, it's capable of 220 kilowatts, which should get you from 10% to 80% in 30 or 40 minutes, depending on your battery size. One of the easier ways to think about it is you'll get about 150 miles in about 20 minutes. Helping matters is the Rivian Adventure Network, which is their take on the Tesla Supercharger network, and it's run on 100% renewable energy. Now, that was way too many numbers for me, so let's just hop in and go for a drive, yeah? On road, this R1T quad has the potential to be an absolute beast. It'll hit 60 miles an hour in under 3 seconds, as quick as a Cybertruck, making it one of the quickest accelerating vehicles you can buy ever. It's just insane. But in order to get that, you have to be on the summer tires, and we're on the all-terrain tires. So I'm here to demonstrate the all-terrain capabilities. Now, when you are off-roading, Rivian makes it really easy. You don't have to go through locking hubs and disconnecting sway bars and stuff. You just put it in off-road mode and it'll take care of it for you. Now, if you want to geek out and go into these screens, knock yourself out. But we're going up this rather challenging climb here. I've just got steady pressure on the pedal and look at that. It's as easy as parking. And when you need to go down the other side, I'm going to roll the windows down for this because this is one thing I really love about EVs. It's like you're hiking. You just hear the crunching of the soil underneath and the rocks. You don't hear that clicking from the anti-lock brakes from the hill descent control. It's just calm, cool, and collected. And with almost 15 inches of ground clearance, I'm not even worried about scraping anything. As accomplished as the R1T is off-road, the R1S SUV is even more so. It's because it has a shorter wheelbase for a better breakover angle. But both of them benefit from what I consider their killer app. That's right, kick turn time, baby! So in order to initiate a kick turn, you do have to go into the menus here, but it's not nearly as complicated as the Mercedes G-Class. You don't have to know the secret handshake. You just head into these settings. The little icon down here shows the kick turn. You hit that, you have to acknowledge you want the kick turn, you swipe it, and then it gives you instructions here on how to do it. So if you want to go to the left, you hold down these sides of each button. If you want to do it on the right, you do the other side. Here we go, you ready? So I'm going to tap these buttons and then give it some gas. That is so good. Oh my God. It's such a novelty, it's so cool, and it might actually make some sense if you're on a narrow trail and you don't want to keep backing up, but I don't care, it's just fun. I know I've been talking a lot about how this drives on the dirt, but it's also critically important to talk about how it drives on the road. And on the drive up here, I'm happy to report it's comfortable, it's quiet. I did get some wind noise on the highway, but that's expected from any upright pickup truck like this. Now, in addition to that, this also has its own version of Blue Cruise or Super Cruise, and it's called Universal Hands Free. And with the Quad, at least, you get a 6-month trial. And it operates much like Tesla. You just give a double tap on the shift stalk, and then you're either in adaptive cruise, or if you're on an approved highway that's already been mapped, then it's hands-free driving. And at least with the adaptive cruise that I've driven, it functions extraordinarily well. It tracks really nicely through the curves on a highway and maintains a perfect gap between you and the traffic in front. So overall, this really does everything on-road and off-road you'll ever need. As much as I like the exterior of the R1T, I love the interior. I'm a woodworker and I have a high appreciation for what's going on in this dashboard. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and honestly, it's probably worth a $3,000 premium that they charge for it. I can't imagine trying to replicate this for production on my own, so I get it. But it just adds so much warmth, and it's almost like a nice, cozy mountain cabin in here. Materials quality are nice all the way around, and there's no actual leather. It's all synthetic leather to reduce their environmental impact. I do feel like I'm sitting rather high in the seat, and it is actually as low as the seat goes, which gives you that kind of upright truck feel. Personally, I'd rather have it just a little bit lower, but the visibility is excellent from this vantage point. This roof pillar is rather thick, but it's pushed far enough away that it doesn't get in my way. The view out back, well, it's like a pickup truck. You see everything. And thanks to the cameras, and there are a ton of cameras, there's really not a lot of guesswork. I'm able to squeeze this thing into some rather small carport spaces. And everything you see here is standard except for this wood trim. That includes this glass roof, the premium audio system, and the underbody skid plates. On the downside, there is no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but there are some workarounds online. The infotainment system also has a really steep learning curve. I don't consider myself a Luddite when it comes to tech. I'm kind of an early adopter, and it takes me a while to get used to this whole system because it's all run through the touchscreen, and you have these multi-function buttons here on the steering wheel, but they don't really tell you what they do depending on what mode they're in. You just kind of have to know. That said, once you are acclimated to this infotainment system, it is deep, and man, there's so much stuff you can do with it. There's all these different screens where you can mess with a dizzying array of settings for the vehicle, whether it's on-road or off-road. It's almost like in a video game like Forza or Gran Turismo, where you can just mess with all these suspension settings and see how they affect it on the fly. As a geek, I really like it. But even for the most basic things like adjusting the steering wheel, you got to go to the touchscreen, and then you have to use these steering wheel buttons and knobs to adjust it up, down, in, and out. Good thing is, you're probably only going to have to do it one time, set it into memory, and never deal with it again. When it comes to the regular interior stuff, well, I think they do it really well, but maybe not perfectly. I mean, no car is perfect, right? I do love this massive panoramic glass roof, and it is dimmable. Of course, you have to go through a menu to use it, but it kind of goes from frosted to more opaque almost in an instant. Man, why doesn't every glass roof do that? For storage, well, we have this massive bin here right in front, another slide-out bin in front of that, cup holders that pop out here, and they can hold some pretty decent-sized cups. You have the bin here that's electrically activated, and it's fairly deep enough to fit a charge adapter at least. And you also have dual wireless charging pads. When it comes to other storage, well, the door pockets aren't all that generously sized, and they don't do very well holding bottles, but I guess that's what this cup holder is for, right? Also standard is this massive infotainment touchscreen and digital instrument panel. I do have a little nitpick on the instrument panel though, is when you're parking and using the parking sensors to see how close you are to things, if the wheel is turned just a little bit like this, it completely blocks the view, so you kind of have to poke around or steer around it. Not ideal. I'd prefer to have it in the infotainment screen instead. Now for the climate controls, it is built into the touchscreen, which I'm never really that big of a fan of, but there are a lot of features as a result. For example, there's a whole setting just to make sure that your pets don't overheat in the summer. I think that's pretty great. Now, you also have heated and cooled seats, and they're kind of situational depending on which one you use, as well as a heated steering wheel. When it comes to seat comfort, well, they're comfortable. They're pretty generously padded, and there's enough lateral support when you're off-roading so it doesn't feel like you're being tossed around or tossed out of the seat. But they're not so aggressive that you have to kind of navigate around them to get in or out. The one thing I wish that this did have, though, was massage seats, because I feel like this is a pretty decent road trip car. Here in the back seat, I ride even higher than the front seats, but as you can see, I still have a little bit of headroom. I'm 5'10", sitting behind the driver's seat that's set for me, and also have plenty of leg room, but not a whole lot of space for my feet under the seat. Materials quality is just as nice back here with hints of that wood that's oh so lovely. But I also like this fabric covering they have on the backs of the seats. You do have little seat back pockets here that are rather thin and shallow, but you also have the door pockets, which are about the same as the front, but just shorter. But when you do need more space for your drinks and stuff, you do have these large cup holders here, and even a little shallow bin. And if you need more space, there's this huge bin underneath with this removable rubberized liner. That's super convenient. Here in the center console, we have the typical climate controls, but we also have 2 USB-C charge ports and some extra features that'll show you Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, you have the lighting, and also a compass, which is kind of nice, a little something extra to watch. Here at the top of the seat back also, we have this handy coat hook and another USB-C charge port. So you're really well covered back here, and honestly, it's really nice and comfy too. I have all the thigh support I need. I'd also like to give these floor mats a shout out, and I know that's something I almost never do, but I think they're really smartly designed. I think they're also attractive, but they've got this really coarse weave to them that kind of hides all the dirt and dust that we're tracking into this car. And just above that, also a power outlet. Now you wouldn't think that there's a whole lot to innovate when it comes to pickup truck beds, but Rivian went ahead and did it anyway. First off, power deployable tailgate, nice. And as you can see, it extends further out thanks to this unique gooseneck hinge. And then you have this power tonneau cover, also really nice, and underfloor storage trays under this composite bed liner. Now you have about a 4.5 foot bed, which is like a mid-sized pickup truck, but you have 50 inches between the wheel humps, so that means you can get a full sheet of plywood back here, although it'll probably stick out the back. Now, Rivian does say this bed is long enough to fit a dirt bike, but also you have your own air compressor and power outlets as well. There's also a ton of lighting inside the bed, so at night, you don't have to go digging around with a flashlight. But remind me about that flashlight. As cool as all this bed stuff was, one of my favorite features of the R1T is this side cargo tunnel. What a great use of space, because you don't have a gas tank back here. It's a really nice, long, capacious bin back here that, you know, you can put tripods or snowboards or whatever you want back here. There are also some accessories in the aftermarket. You can have a pull-out cooktop for your campsite if you want. And as an added bonus, it's a step, so you can access the roof or the side of the bed, and it can hold up to 250 pounds. So at least now you know how heavy I'm not. As I mentioned earlier about a flashlight, you've got one right here in the door, and it's always ready because it's always charging. And that also leads me to another one of my favorite but subtle things about this car. Instead of honking or beeping when you lock it like a regular car, it's got this subtle little cricket chirp. It's so much better, right? Ah, I could do that all day. Now, if you happen to need even more space than the bed and that cargo tunnel provides, you also have this 11 cubic foot Frunk. But the only problem for me is it doesn't open from the grill like a Lucid or the F-150 Lightning, but it's still really nice. You just have to lift things over a little higher to get them in. And if that's not enough, there's also underfloor storage for charge cables and other accessories. They really just maximized all space available. Well, I hope that explains why I'm so hot on these quad motor Rivians and why they're so unique in this space. Now, competition-wise, there's not really that much. On one side, you have the GMC Hummer. That's a little more affordable, but larger and heavier. It's also really not all that efficient. Then there's the Mercedes-Benz G-Class, which has its own version of the kick turn, but it's probably more at home on Rodeo Drive than out here in the wilderness. As far as pickup trucks goes, there's also the F-150 Lightning and Chevrolet Silverado EV, but this is sort of the Swiss Army knives of EVs. It's amazing on the road and it's unstoppable off-road. I really only have a few nitpicks here and there, and one of them is how you order it. I would skip the large wheels because they tend to add quite a bit of impact harshness to the ride. And then there's the price. Prices start right around $75,000 and climb to almost $118,000 to start. Now this R1T with the quad motor also has this paint and that lovely wood on the inside, and they're $3,000 each. So this as tested price is over $123,000. Ouch! But for what you're getting, I honestly think it's worth it. I mean, I can't afford it right now, but if I did, this would be at the top of my list. But what do you think? Are these Rivian quads as aspirational to you as they are to me? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below, and we'll see you on the road next time.